So yeah, my name's Andy. I head up mobile growth at SoundCloud, so that encompasses acquisition and retention of users across our mobile platforms, which is currently our iOS app, Android app, and mobile web app, HTML5. So there we go. Yeah, okay, so a little about me and my background. So I actually started off as a mobile games developer back in the really early days. So this game here on the left is Space Impact. I wrote that at Nokia back in, I think, year 2000. It was their first side-scrolling shoot 'em up, and I think the first game to use vibration as a force feedback in a game. And then I sort of developed and published a bunch of other mobile games for various companies until I ended up at SoundCloud, where it's basically, oh yeah, quick show of hands. Who knows SoundCloud already? Okay, that's quite impressive, yeah, because we're not so big in Russia, but seems like, with this audience, that's pretty good. Okay, so for those of you who haven't heard of SoundCloud or perhaps don't know exactly what we're about, we're an audio platform for all kinds of creators of original audio. So sometimes people call us the YouTube for music. We don't necessarily invite that comparison, but it's quite a good way of explaining the proposition very succinctly. Basically anyone with original music or audio, whether that's bands, podcasters, musicians, comedians, journalists, anyone who wants to upload and share audio with the world can do it through SoundCloud. So they can upload, and then they can share their audio really easily with the whole world. We've got integrations with Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Flipboard, and more, sort of to generate reach. So we have around over 12 hours of audio uploaded to the platform every minute, and we're reaching currently around 300 million listeners a month across all of these channels. Plus, it's an open API, so we're also integrated with, I think, easily over 1,000 audio creation apps. So anyone could use our API to build an app which either contributes sounds to the platform or streams sounds from the platform. So how do we monetize? We have a premium tier for creators who want to host a lot of audio. So you can host 2 hours of audio for free on the platform. And above that, we have premium tiers for more storage and more analytics on who's listening to your sounds. We're working increasingly with brands. This is the recent campaign that Levi's ran. Brands are finding it a great way to connect with a young and engaged audience. Now I've got a couple of slides here about why mobile is so great, but I think probably everyone in the room already is sold on the whole idea of mobile, so I'm going to skip past these actually. So I'm going to talk now a little bit about sort of my personal approach to mobile growth and SoundCloud's approach to growth, and then give a couple of examples of specific things we've done at SoundCloud, maybe a few sort of tips and tricks. So yeah, really it's all about measurement. If you can't measure something, you can't improve it. We like to measure and hopefully improve these kind of metrics. So if you saw David from Spotify's presentation earlier, he sort of addressed these same idea. Basically, this is Dave McClure's Pirate Metrics: acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and referral. Basically, the idea being that you need to sort of get users through this funnel, and hopefully, eventually, you'll make some money from them, and they might also refer their friends. This is really just saying that it's not really a good idea, in my opinion, to be spending a lot of money to acquire users if you've got like a leaky bucket. You know, if your retention is not great, if you don't get your product market fit correct, then really like acquiring a ton of users isn't really going to help you. You could like pay to boost yourself right up to the top of the rankings in the iOS store, for example, but you're not going to stay there very long if people are not sticking with your product. So we use cohort analysis a lot at SoundCloud. These are not our numbers, it's just an example of a cohort analysis graph. How many people are familiar with cohort analysis already? Okay, less than are familiar with SoundCloud. Okay, so cohort analysis basically is just a way of like examining systematically how users are interacting with your product and how many of them are sticking around. So on the vertical column here, we see what we call cohorts of users who joined the product or sort of like encountered the product for the first time in particular months. And then across the right, you see how many of them came back in the subsequent months. So we see here this particular product has pretty terrible retention, and I wouldn't spend a lot of money advertising this product. I would look at like seeing if I can improve the retention over time. You can see actually looking down the column that it's getting a little better, but still the drop-off is very steep. This is kind of my view of mobile growth in general. It requires probably a little update actually. There's a few things I would revise on here. I guess really the main takeaway from this slide, and I realize there's a lot of information there, I don't expect everyone to read it all. It's really that, I don't believe that mobile marketing and mobile growth is really all about advertising. I've got advertising as basically like one little box in this whole matrix. So, and everything as far as we're concerned at SoundCloud has to be underpinned by world-class analytics. So we invest quite a lot in building out our own analytics infrastructure, as well as bringing on best-in-class tools. So now some examples of like specific things we've done at SoundCloud which have boosted our growth. So a while back we had this problem. This is a terrible problem to have, particularly when you know you have a great app, and that's a 1-star average rating on your latest release. Now the problem that we had some sort of underlying bugs in our code which were like pretty difficult to track down, sort of legacy code issues, which are only affecting a very small percentage of users. But when you've got a small percentage of users who are having a really bad time with your product, it's crashing or it won't open, this causes reviews like this in the App Store. And this really puts off other people from downloading the app and trying it out at all. Now, we're working very hard to fix these bugs and to give these users a better experience. But what we also realized was people who have a terrible experience are much more likely to write about it on the App Store than people who love your app and would recommend it to others. So we wanted to give like a bit of encouragement for the users who we knew we had a lot of very engaged and very happy users. We wanted to give them an encouragement. So we included this screen, a prompt that says, if you love SoundCloud, please come and rate us in the App Store. Now we didn't show this to all the users, or didn't show this the first time that people launched the app. We actually targeted only the most engaged users of the app. So I think we set a very high threshold for this, something like they had to have used it 15 times, they had to have used it for at least 7 days, so that we knew that these were users who were very likely to give us a high star rating and really loved the product. And this was the result. Very quickly we got many more 5-star ratings, and we're not making these reviews up, and there's still a few negative ones in there, but it's restored the balance, and so we've got happier customers, like better represented on the App Store. And this was the result in terms of the result on our rating. So in the yellow on this graph is the number of 5-star ratings, and we can see that really peaked. So this is approximately when the rate the app screen kicked in. And yeah, so we're now back up to a 4.5 star rating in most countries. And that delivered actually a ton of growth. I expected this to sort of help boost our reputation while we fixed out some of the bugs. What I didn't expect was quite how much this would affect our downloads. They went up about 20%. Second thing that we've been focusing a lot on in the past sort of 6 months to a year is cross-sell. So we do cross-sell from our mobile web. This is our mobile website right here. It's actually a full SoundCloud app. You can interact with all the content on the platform directly from the mobile web. And all of our referral traffic lands here. So people who click on links from Facebook, from Twitter, from Tumblr, if they're on their mobile device, this is where they end up. And what we find is that whilst we get a ton of traffic to our mobile web app, these users are not as sticky. They're not, for whatever reason, coming back to the app as regularly. And yeah, I think it's already been mentioned in previous sessions, there's certain limitations on what you can do with a mobile web user in terms of communicating with them through push notifications, or and less ways you can monetize these users. So for a bunch of reasons, we wanted to upsell these people to the native app where we believe we can give them the best experience. So we added a download app button, which is what you see on the left there, and we introduced these interstitial ads, which show up when the music starts playing. So they land on a page, maybe from a referral, they start listening to their favorite track, and then we pop up an interstitial ad. And the two combined are very powerful. Most people who really want the app will click on the button, and we get an extra probably 20-25% from showing the interstitial. We do similar cross-sell from the web. You can see we have the App Store buttons that we added to pretty much every page, down in the bottom right in this example. So we get a lot of traffic to our website right now, but we see that growth is pretty flat, and the growth is like really booming on mobile. And we really want to accelerate that because we really see that mobile is where we see the most engagement on the platform and really where we want the future of the SoundCloud's going to be. So probably we'll get more aggressive with the cross-sell from the website as well. So we also have this, which we show to people when they sign out of SoundCloud, but what we realized is nobody signs out of websites anymore. So this doesn't actually work so great because no one really sees it. People just close the tab. So we're going to rethink this. Maybe we'll do it as an interstitial or something like that. And finally, talk a little about App Store optimization. So, like, imagine that you're a company, you sell a product, but you can only sell it in one store. And so there's one store in the whole of Russia that contains actually over 1 million products, and your product's one of them. And it's basically got one aisle. So you want your product ideally to be right at the front of that aisle. That's pretty much like the App Store. So you've got this App Store, it's got 1 million other apps in there. You need to differentiate your product in there pretty quickly. And ideally you want to be near the front, so in other words, like near the top of the rankings. Now, there's various ways that you can try and achieve this, but like either way, you want your product to stand out or your app to stand out. It's really your packaging for your whole product. So like, I advise you to work really hard on your app title, your screenshots, your keywords, but also to test this stuff. We've started to apply a lot of systematic data-driven testing to every element of our app store, and we continue to do that on an ongoing basis. When I say testing, I mean if you've got like calls to action. We've got calls to action that we put across our screenshots with these like discover artists, follow artists, play music and audio. We tested those as like individual like little advertising slogans, which we ran like AdWords campaigns on. So we tested a whole bunch of different calls to action, ran them as like low budget AdWord campaigns so that we get real data on how many users are clicking on, how many users are responding to particular calls to action. And then we picked the best ones. We did the same thing with the screenshots. We ran the screenshots on like as interstitial adverts on a third-party ad network. Again, pretty small budget. You only have to spend a couple of €100, but we show them then to a representative sample of our target audience, and we see which screenshots are just innately more clickable. And then you've got some data behind your choices. The first screenshot that you show should definitely be the most clicked one, because that's probably the one that most people are only going to look at one screenshot, so you better make it a good one. And localization as well, localizing your App Store presence to all the available markets. Now we're pretty slow on that, but we're rolling out more localized App Store presences as we go. And we're also localizing the screenshots. So. Okay, that's my time up, but I just wanted to quickly show you, this is the growth that we've seen over the last 3 years. So the blue is iOS, so we launched in 2011 with an iOS app. The red is Android, so it's like catching up sort of pretty quickly. And this goes up to 2013. I haven't included the 2014 figures, but I think we're like well on target to continue that growth curve. So, and we're doing pretty nicely in the App Store too. We're sort of I think ranked around number 30 today overall in the US App Store, and number 3 in music I think. Not doing so great in Russia though. So any tips from you guys in the audience about how we can get more Russian users on? I'll be keen to hear them. So thanks a lot, and I'd be happy to hear any questions.